The stock market suffered its worst rout since June of 2020. As bad as things have been, yesterday was actually the worst day that we've had since the COVID crash generally for global markets. Of course, since we know that Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies are trading basically in lockstep with those markets, they were not immune and suffered as well with massive losses across the board. As usual, I've got Suren here from Bullish. We have him on every other Wednesday to talk about liquidity and volume and what that means. So he should have some great insight as to what has been happening in the market and, of course, how people are preparing for the merge and what they're seeing there. You guys don't want to miss this. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I am Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and merge your finger with the like button because the merge is now only about 16 hours away. It looks like this is really going to happen unless there's like bad weather over Cape Canaveral and then the shuttle can't take off, right? We've seen plenty of launches that don't happen on time. Of course, anyone who follows SpaceX knows that that happens. But it looks like this is really going to happen after years of anticipation. I mean, it feels like we've been hearing about the merge, the idea of proof of stake, since the early days of Ethereum, certainly. But over the past 2 or almost 3 years now, this has been constantly delayed, and now it's actually really going to happen. Ethereum is making the move from proof of work to proof of stake, right? But a lot of us actually just want to know how to position ourselves for this, what that means for our portfolios, what's likely to happen, how institutions are trading around it. I mean, my gut instinct is do nothing, right? if you're in Ethereum, unless you're utilizing some sort of complicated hedging strategy, or you're, buying spot in advance to get the proof of work coins and are shorting the futures like a lot of institutions. As an average person who just holds ETH or is superficially involved in trading, I would say nobody knows what's going to happen. All you have to do is sit on your coins, collect the proof of work coins when the fork happens, assuming that it does, and go about your life, right? This should be one of those events where it just happens seamlessly. You never know that it happened, and things just continue seamlessly. That's the hope, certainly, right? I don't see much speculation that the merge won't work, but if it didn't, I would imagine that would be a massively bearish event for the crypto market. To discuss all of this and more, of course, I have everyone's favorite bi-weekly guest, Suren, to join us here from Bullish. Suren, how are you today?
Good. Good to be here, as always, Scott.
Exciting days here for better or for worse, certainly, right? What are you guys seeing here in advance of the merge as far as, I guess, the relationship between Ethereum and Bitcoin trading?
Sure. I guess the most interesting thing is the funding rate in the ETH perpetuals. It's been going into negative territory over the last few days, but it's especially negative right now. The 8-hour funding rate is 20 bips, right? So you can make yourself 0.6% per day being long these futures, or shorts are paying 0.6% per day to stay short. Now, of course, there are two possibilities. One is that they're super bearish, that it'll all go haywire. That's a possibility, but the more likely case is that they're hedging their long positions in spot or cash, as some people might say. So your long ETH spot, you hedge it with your perpetual short, and you ride it out that way. So if something goes wrong, you're hedged. If you might still actually have some benefits of being long spot that you can, like, you might even, some people play it for the airdrop of the ETH POW, and so it's a bit of a kind of an event arbitrage potentially, which is why people are paying these rates. So most likely case is that it's a short against a long position in spot, which means once the merge passes, they'll just unwind it, but without necessarily it being a massive pop to ETH. Whereas if they were outright short on the theory that everything will go completely haywire, then it's more likely that if nothing goes wrong, then there would be a bigger pop in ETH. That's
right.
at least how I read it.
If they leave their shorts on, it would be a massive opportunity for a squeeze, of course, for anyone to sort of trigger that cascade going up and squeeze those shorts and see price go up. But as you mentioned, most of these people, if they're doing it as a hedge, they're literally just going to remove those trades the minute that they see things are successful. If price starts to rise, they take either their very small loss or break even and move on with their lives.
Exactly. But in the meantime, you can make yourself a cool 0.6% per day shorting perps against a long cash position if you're so inclined for an arb trade.
It's basically free money, right? So zooming out, we obviously have had some volatility of late, right? We sort of had each of our updates over the last few weeks. It's sort of been like kind of the same as 2 weeks ago, kind of the same as 2 weeks ago. We had this big event yesterday. Obviously, a very small miss actually on inflation caused a massive effect on markets. So did you see a huge spike in volume at Bullish specifically when that happened?
Of course, yes, we did. Our volume is probably more sensitive to volatility than any other exchange, any other centralized exchange's volume I know, because we have a liquidity pool at the heart of the exchange. So our volume is super sensitive to volatility. So yes, we had nice 24 hours in terms of volumes, and even more than 24. The last couple of days have been very nice volumes because it's been heavy in volatility, and it sort of continues to be. Volatility hasn't really come down completely yet. We had the big spike, but the markets are still pretty choppy, and they'll stay choppy, obviously, because of the merge over the next 16 hours. And of course, we have the Fed in about a week's time, which right now already something like 65% chance of a 75 bips hike priced in, down from 91% a day ago. So
yeah, but part of that is because some people are predicting 100 bips raise. So.
Exactly. So inflation and the Fed will continue to play a big role, which is why the correlation between crypto and the equity markets continued pretty high over the last couple of weeks. It spiked up in late August from the lows, and then it stayed high throughout the whole month of September. And in theory, if not for the merge, the correlation probably would be even higher. But because the merge is a very crypto-specific factor, it's probably keeping the volatility correlation to equity markets a bit subdued. It's putting a cap in it. But post the merge, actually, you can see correlation to equities going even higher. So, hopefully equities will go up.
Great. Just what we all want to hear. And are you seeing a very noticeable, at least right now, maybe it'll unwind, but interest spike in ETH versus Ethereum? I kind of touched on it earlier, but I mean, ETH versus Bitcoin. Are you seeing sort of dampened volumes and excitement around Bitcoin with a major focus on this Ethereum trade?
So volume-wise, at least for us, because they're driven by volatility, as I mentioned in the previous our previous sessions together, there was quite a large spread in volatility between ETH and BTC. It blew out to something like 30 to 40 percentage points. That has actually narrowed down in the last week or so. So volatility on ETH actually came down. Purely just in rolling 30-day volatility, realized volatility. Volatility on BTC actually came up, and so the spread has narrowed. So what it means is, if you look at the ratio of our BTC volumes to our ETH volumes, BTC volumes have been outperforming ETH volumes in the last week or so, just because volatilities have been kind of converging. But
right, and when the macro and obviously we know that Bitcoin of all the assets is the one that's being traded the most probably by institutional investors. So when macro goes volatile, you're naturally going to see these massive spikes in Bitcoin that are non-specific to the merge into crypto. To your point before.
Exactly. But interesting, one thing that, we always talk about liquidity. It's like our thing because we're deep liquidity. And liquidity has increased in both BTC and ETH over the last 2 weeks, but it is especially spiked up in ETH. Like, for example, the ETH versus Tether liquidity, as in measured by 2% depth, is up 40% from 2 weeks ago. It's the biggest percentage change I've seen in a while. So that whatever is going on, there's plenty of liquidity in the market. So, which in theory, high liquidity means potentially less choppy markets, or at least nothing too crazy, relatively smooth sailing. So we'll see how that pans out over the next few hours. But another interesting thing is that the bid depth to ask depth ratio, the so-called bid ratio, some people call it, has been staying positive, about 0.5 for ETH throughout the last 2 weeks. So that's a bullish indicator. Whereas for BTC, it's actually come down and it's currently below 0.5. So it's a bit of a slightly bearish indicator for BTC.
What are funding rates on Bitcoin looking like? Do you know?
They are 0 to slightly positive.
So they're not seeing that. So that really does sort of support your case that the Ethereum negative funding is about the hedge.
It's about the hedge, which in turn is about the merge, right? Once I would forecast that we're trying not to make too many forecasts, especially on the markets. But as far as funding rates are concerned, I expect them to revert much closer to 0 after the merge has passed on ETH.
Really interesting. Well, next in 2 weeks when we have you back, at least we won't have to talk about the merge anymore. But unfortunately, we'll probably be talking about a major hike from the Fed, right?
Yeah. By then, everybody will be so focused on the Fed, they'll forget about my funding rate forecast, so I won't have to eat my head.
I mean, they're also going to have already forgotten about this inflation report by tomorrow, because now we're going to be talking about the raise. It's sort of the nature of markets. We see these massive overreactions, and then 2 or 3 days later, people don't even remember that it happened. I think they'll remember that bad day, but the inflation print wasn't so dramatically bad that I expected that big of a reaction.
Yeah, I guess people are just scared of the Fed ever since that Powell speech. He kind of scared everybody, and now they're super alert.
Yeah, I guess inflation was not, in fact, transitory. in hindsight, right? Thank you so much, sir. Always love having you, and look forward to next time, because we'll have a lot to review from this week. So thanks.
Likewise.
Once again.
Thanks, Scott.
Speak to you soon. Awesome to see what's happening over there at the moment with liquidity and volume. It gives us a lot of insight as to what's happening with the trade. Now, I tend to agree with him. I think that from what we're seeing, there is massive interest in sort of this free money trade by buying spot and then hedging short on the futures, or even the perpetual swaps, as they said over there. Also interesting to see the difference there between an AMM, a liquidity pool, versus like a Binance, where people are trading against one another in the order book, how much more volume you see when there is volatility. Transitory is relative, says Chuck. Yeah, you just change the definition of transitory. It's easy. And yes, as you said also, markets are ADHD. SGI Robert says, great interview. And I say, thank you, SGI Robert. Thank you. Cosmo the Wonder Dog would like you to know that his liquidity went down the drain. Did you use Drano or Liquid Plumber for that? So let's move on with the news. This is hilarious. I do use ad blockers and all those things and whatever, but every once in a while we get one passed. And I pulled up this CNBC article about the markets yesterday, and look at the ad that we've got front and center. It's Cramer, CNBC Investing Club with Jim Cramer. Join the monthly meeting to see how Jim is investing so that you can counter trade his dumb ass. Thursday, September 15th, 12 p.m. That's tomorrow, guys. Look, it's a limited time offer. It was $399.99. And now you can pay $299.99 to allow Jim Cramer to help you lose all your money on his terrible picks. But I guess if you are looking for something to counter trade, it might be worth $300. But yeah, what a hilarious ad to have showed up. But here's the actual story. Dow tumbles 1,200 points for worst day since June 2020 after hot inflation report. Hot, steaming, moist inflation. This is not the good kind of inflation like we've seen in Vitalik Buterin's pants. This is the bad kind of inflation that causes your hamburger helper to go up like 3 times in price in a year. It's not really that much, and nobody eats hamburger helper anymore. But if you saw the movie Vacation, you know that sometimes you can just skip the hamburger and just have the hamburger helper. That's one for the boomers of my age. If you haven't seen Vacation, then have fun staying unentertained. But yeah, guys, We saw inflation come in at 8.3%. The expectation was 8.1% and still down from 8.5%, but markets, they jittered, they spazzed, they crashed. Let's be honest. Worst day since June 2020. And of course, that was bad news for the crypto market. Yeah, guys, I'm going to change the banner at the bottom. My daily newsletter is now free. Subscribe now. Link is in the description. The reason I'm doing that is because I wrote a long piece in the newsletter today about the fact that this very small 0.2% miss is, remember, that's the estimate versus the actual. It's just a matter of what we expected and what we got. Overshadowed what may be the biggest piece of news we've seen in the crypto market in years, literally in years. Right? And here it is. Do you guys see it? Can you read it? Fidelity, Schwab, Citadel Securities plan to launch new crypto exchange. What? Listen, we reported yesterday that Fidelity was looking to allow their retail customers to buy actual spot Bitcoin as opposed to finding creative ways to give them exposure to the asset. Well, now it's reported that the biggest players on Wall Street, I mean, this is including VCs like Sequoia and Paradigm, who are backed it, are launching an exchange to be called EDX Markets. Some people calling it EDXM. Coinbase must be shitting their pants if they're wearing them, because we know that Suren said that people are putting their shorts on and sometimes taking their shorts off. But assuming they are wearing their shorts, this has to be pretty bad for Coinbase. I didn't really think about that part. I'm a Coinbase investor, but like, if Coinbase is where institutions are going to buy and custody their crypto, they've got to be pretty worried that those exact same institutions and their friends are starting their own exchange or taking their ball and going home. Screw you guys. I'm going home. Right? Guys, I cannot even express. Do you remember BACT, BAKKT? Because that's how you spell BACT. BACT that ass up. Girl, you look good. Won't you back that ass up? Oh, who is you playing with? Back that ass up. I made backed that ass up jokes for like 3 years. But backed, right, was supposed to bring institutions in. It was like 2018, 19, whatever year. I don't even remember. And markets absolutely rocked because of it, right? Bitcoin doesn't even move an inch when we get an announcement like this now. That shows how correlated we are to macro, but also just how mature this market is, that news doesn't really rock the shit up, down, or any other direction. But yeah, guys, this is going to be a exchange for Wall Street, by Wall Street, that gives retail investors access. You have to believe that this will be extremely regulatory compliant, that your assets will be extremely safe here, because these companies don't do things without having a wink, wink from the regulators and legislators. This is really, listen, we can argue whether this is good or not. That's a topic for a different day. But if we want to talk about institutional investment or adoption of the crypto space, this is it. These companies, by the way, Ken Griffin from Citadel has been shitting on crypto for years. He has not been a crypto advocate. So that shows how much demand there is and how much he likes dollars more than he cares about his opinions. Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan, very similar, right? And that they would go ahead and do this. This is just beyond massive. Actually, the CEO of the exchange is going to be Jamil Nazarali, a longtime executive with Citadel Security. So it's one of Citadel's guys that's going to be running this. This is huge, guys. Huge. Bigly, hugely. The merge is upon us, right? Hopefully that does not mean that our portfolios values will continue to merge with the number 0, as has seemingly been the case for the past 6 to 12 months. But the merge, verified Twitter accounts impersonate Ethereum co-founder to push scams. I only brought this story up to say, be careful, guys. So, right, people hack or buy or steal small blue check accounts, and they turn them into accounts that look like real accounts. So it could be Vitalik Buterin is what you're seeing with the blue check, probably asking you to send money into a contract, something like that. You do not need to do anything for the merge. You do not need to convert your coins. You don't need to send them to a smart contract to make sure that you get your proof of worth. What you need to do is do absolutely nothing, right? Don't believe in any giveaways. Don't believe the hype. Be very careful out there. So, in news surprising nobody, South Korean court issues arrest warrant against Terra co-founder Do Kwon. Listen, I have mixed feelings about this because I'm not sure that what he did was criminal. I don't know. That's going to be up to them to decide, right? He was certainly empowered by some of the biggest names in the crypto industry who were funding him and massively exposed to Luna. So I'm not sure if this was just a massive experiment gone wrong or if he really should have charges brought against him. I guess that will remain to be seen and litigated in court. But that also means that they got to find the guy, right? I believe he might be in Singapore. I don't think they have extradition with South Korea. So good luck getting this guy into court. We'll see. But he's being charged along with 5 other people with violating the Capital Markets Act. What that is, nobody knows. I don't know. I didn't look into what the Capital Markets Act in South Korea is, but they've been going after this dude since day one, and clearly they believe that there was some criminal activity or malintent. And just when Luna was making its grand comeback, nobody believes that. I still can't believe people are buying Luna and Luna C and Luna 2 and Luna Doge and Shiba Luna and Luna Inu. God, who knows, man? Cosmo the Wonder Dog says, done, Kwon. Christopher says, don't, Kwon. Yeah, the Koreans aren't messing around, man. Yeah, not messing around. Absolute lunacy. Guys, listen, there with so many assets to trade, why trade the dumbest ones? You know, it's like Dave Chappelle in that skit. I plead the fifth. So many amendments to the Constitution. Right? Fifth. F-I-F, fifth. Right? I mean, you don't need to trade Luna. Listen, I understand if you like got a whole shit ton of Luna because you got fucked by Luna and you want to like maximize your profits accordingly. But like, I don't know, man. Stay away. Bitcoiner Bruce Fenton loses bid to contest U.S. Senate seat in New Hampshire. Fenton faced a competitive primary, but ultimately garnered less than of the Republican primary vote. CoinDesk needs a new editor. Less than of the Republican primary vote. English is hard. Listen, I've had Bruce Fenton on the show. I've hung out with him quite a few times. He's a good dude. Interesting political views, of course, and a huge Bitcoiner. But he joined the race very late as a basically unfunded Republican candidate. No surprises here. There were very popular career politicians that he was running against. But man, if you go through, he had some amazing sound bites during the campaign. And listen, now he'll go back to focusing on Bitcoin, which is good for everyone. It was great to see him on the national stage of this happening, but I don't think anyone expected him to win. And frankly, I think whoever wins is probably going to lose to incumbent Maggie Hassan, Hasan. Nobody knows how to pronounce these politicians' names because nobody follows them. But yeah, too bad that Bruce was not able to secure victory, but still a win for Bitcoin to have had him on the national stage for so long. Speaking of people that are losing, Bruce is not a loser, so I don't want to say that. We can move on to this loser. Did I do it? We always do it. He's always so hunched. Craig Wright won't give cryptographic proof he's Satoshi. His lawyer said, hodl not trial. He's probably not going to give cryptographic proof because he doesn't have it and he's lying. Why are we still doing this? I actually feel bad for bringing up his stupid face on this stream again. But we all know that he went after hodl not for calling him a scammer on Twitter. Imagine if I sued every person who wrote scammer. Ooh, I'd be busy. Yeah, Craig Wright saying that, he's emotionally triggered and doesn't need to give proof because his story is so compelling, right? There's a trial in Norway where hodl not's trying to get this thrown out so that he doesn't have to face the trial in the UK. But actually insane at this point. Pretty insane. You know what? I don't want to talk about him. But wait. I don't want to talk about him. Consensus CEO Joseph Lubin, the merge will be enormously impactful. We've had like 3 podcasts scheduled with Joe in person. We've never been able to make it happen. But he said the event, as I've said, is probably nothing. Very likely nothing in the sense that there's no disruption that's going to be experienced by end users. He says it'll be as smooth as if your iPhone or your laptop has upgraded its operating system automatically overnight. But his argument here obviously is the same one I've been making over and over again, that this is something that you're going to fundamentally watch happening over time and not something that should have a massive impact today. You know what has a massive impact today? Inflation prints. More so than the merge. It's crazy how correlated we are. This is cool. MoMA to sell 70 million art collection, may use proceeds to buy digital art and NFTs. They're selling some actual real art by people, artists that people care about, like Picasso, Bacon, Rousseau, and Renoir. Not Renoir for all you silly Americans, Renoir. They're going to auction those off, about 70 million worth, to expand the museum's digital presence, including the possible purchase of NFTs. Cool. I wonder if they're going to buy any lazy lions to put on display on the front wall of the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. No, they're not. But this is a very obvious commitment to digital art. The MoMA, it is the Museum of Modern Art after all, has actually always had some fringe exhibitions. I used to be a member of the MoMA. I used to go once or twice a week. I used to just hang out there and drink coffee and do work because I just liked sitting under, Van Gogh's Starry Night when I was contemplating the meaning of the world. But there was some wild shit in there, right? You walk in a room and there's a projector and it's like some dude punching himself in the face repeatedly in black and white. And you're like, oh, cool. That's a $10 million piece of art. Or of course, like, a frame around a white wall. Look, I framed the wall. That's worth $10 million. Right. There was one where a person just stood still for like 36 hours and didn't move. And that was art. You could buy that person. They've always been ahead of the curve. And so it's no surprise that of all museums, they would be the ones starting to look at NFTs and digital art. But it's interesting they would sell off Picasso, Bacon, Rousseau, and Renoir to do so. Let's do a quick talk about the markets. Steep drops in Bitcoin Ether caused over 250 million in futures losses. Bitcoin fell 9%. ETH dropped 6%. Right? And then there's then they wrote a lot of words analyzing why that would happen. And I didn't read the words. Just read the headline because I use it as an excuse for us to take a very quick look at the chart. But once again, listen, guys, over leveraged people get smashed. That's what happens, right? So here's the daily chart. Remember, we were like, oh, guys, it's amazing. We're above the 50 MA. Absolutely smashed. Terrible, huge daily candle. Now well below the 50 MA once again, but really nothing fundamentally changed here, right? Because if you're looking at the weekly, which is where you should be looking, still just this series of lower highs and lower lows. This candle is meaningless, right? When you're looking at the weekly, even though it hasn't closed. When you're looking at the daily, right? If we're believing that we're in a new, at least slight uptrend, you have a low, high, higher low potentially, if we can make a higher high above 25.12, but we didn't even get below the recent low, so nothing there, right? We pulled up these fibs yesterday showing you how there was rejection at the golden pocket. One would say maybe that there was a golden shower in the golden pocket. We were at about the 38.2 when we streamed yesterday, around 21,000, continued down with a low just below 20,000, right? 19,800 or so. And that's all right at the 23.6% retracement level of that move from 25,000 down to 18,540. So these are key. All these fib levels, if you're a fibber, means you lie. That's meaningful. But if you're also looking at the 4 hour, it's too early to tell, but it's hard not to see something like this, right? Right. So even if it comes up, maybe you end up with a little bear flag. Right now, bottom line is that this appears to be bearish consolidation until proven otherwise, right? So you'd expect another move down, maybe test these lows down here based on the length of that flagpole. But this has not had enough time to develop. But either way, when you see a massive drop on volume and then volume decreasing with consolidation, tends to mean if it's at the top that it's bullish consolidation, at the bottom it's bearish. That can change. But for now, that's sort of how we need to look at it. Yeah. I don't know, man. What are stonks doing? Just kind of chilling where they were, right? Dollar down a bit. That's sort of the story. And of course, luckily, as you saw, it said Bitcoin was down about 10%, ETH down 6%. That's because Bitcoin dominance here actually started to drop. That's actually good news. The reason being that, listen, if Bitcoin dominance actually rises when Bitcoin falls 10%, everything, your portfolio just gets manhandled, right? It's like dropping the soap in prison. It's bad. You don't want to do it. So luckily, some of those losses were mitigated by people holding altcoins. Things didn't go down as badly as they could have. And tomorrow, guys, at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, basically, we're going to do our roundtable, but it's kind of going to be a merge party. We're going to be merging, like in real time. We're going to merge. You guys going to come merge with me? Can you say that? Am I going to get canceled for asking you guys to merge with me? I mean it in a platonic cryptocurrency type of way. Yeah, in a crypto way. Guys, listen, I know we had Suren on from Bullish, so I didn't say the thing, but you guys obviously are reading this. Scoot it along down there on the bottom. But read that. Click on the link down below. Let Bullish know. Let them know you care. Merge. Is that how the kids say it now? I don't know. I'm not a kid. You can wait a couple days to merge. It's fine. That's fine. Anywho, guys, that's all I got for you today here at 10:04 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Are any of you guys going to come to New York next week to Masari Mainnet and let me dunk you in the dunk tank? Any of you guys going to do that? Everybody going to be in NYC? Any of you guys going to be in Singapore for Token 2049 the week after that? Any of you 2 weeks after that going to come to Vegas and hang out and drink with me and watch me do this stuff live? I want to know. Am I going to meet any of you guys finally in person? Huh? I don't see any responses, so it means that I'm going to have fun staying lonely. But if you guys are going to be at any of those 3 events, make sure to let us know in the comments because it's going to be fun. Ooh, Wayne's going to be in Vegas. What's up, Wayne? Let's do this. I'd love to, but I'm a teacher. Well, come teach your kids about crypto. Bring your class. Maybe in the summer one day. Nope, sorry. Liana's just laughing at me, Liana. Is it Liana or Liana? You're not going to be able to tell me. I can wait till summer, Jesse. We can do that. That's cool. We can wait. I wish Scott one day. Des, we're going to hit some golf balls together one day, be it in where in the world, I don't know. But yeah, too broke to travel thanks to poor crypto decisions. I got you there. Vegas is too expensive, probably. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for you today. I hope you had a good one. Don't miss the merge party tomorrow. We're going to merge. Look how blurry I made it. Hey, did you guys see my shirt today? I don't know if any of you are Wu-Tang fans, but it's like the North Face, but it's the Ghost face. I think it's kind of cool. Anyways, I am out of here. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.
That's dope.